Hello and welcome again to the Telusk Forum. My name is Julian Steadman. I'm one of the lay ministers in this area. We've just been on holiday in the north of England and some of the photographs today illustrate some of our travels. On the programme today, the Reverend Sally Rees will be talking to Alison about her forthcoming ordination as a priest and about her ministry to older people during this very difficult period. Jan is interviewed by Kerry and explains how she coped as a parent during the lockdown period and the implications of returning back to school. Carl talks to me about the importance of thankfulness to sustain our mental well-being. And finally, Ed looks forward to Harvest Thanksgiving and explains how our gifts to the Brecon Foodbank will benefit local people. Enjoy the programme.
I'm going to be talking to Sally, who in 1 week's time is going to be ordained as a priest, and she's going to tell us something about her journey towards that time. Start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, Sally, please.
Thank you. I know a lot of people know who I am, but just in case you don't, my name's Sally Rees and I've lived in Brecon for 40 years and worshipped in most of the churches here over that time, but in the last 20 years I have been worshipping at St Edmund's Church, and 6 years ago I was ordained as deacon.
Now you're wearing the clerical collar, but you're not the rector. Would you like to explain what your ministry is?
I can do that. When I was ordained as a deacon 6 years ago, I was ordained to our ministry area with a specific role, and my specific role is ministry to older people in the community. So in that role I train pastoral visitors, and we go as a team both to care homes, retirement housing, and each pastoral visitor has got somebody who they'll visit at home. Mm-hmm. And we will go to anybody who can't get to church, mm-hmm. who wants a connection with the church, and we take with us a friendship, a prayer, mm-hmm. we worship if people would like that, mm-hmm. And really we'll go to people who can't come to church, so anybody who's sick, old or frail, mm-hmm. And who wants to be part of our church family. They are as much part of the church family if you can't come to church as if you can get into the church building.
Yes, excellent, yes. And I know that's valued by many people. Now, that's your community role here, but I believe you have a wider role as well.
I do have a wider role. In 2018, I was asked to be Bishop's Officer from Ministry to Older People in the Swansea and Brecon Diocese. And having established a pattern here in our ministry area, mm-hmm. I've now been able to roll out a programme of pastoral visiting teams around churches and care homes in the Greater Brecon Deanery, mm-hmm. But I'm hoping also to get into the Swansea area. Right. We should have had a conference this year to kind of launch it, but that was stopped because of lockdown. But I have had an opportunity to talk to people in the Swansea area as well as the Brecon area, but it needs to be more established there now.
Yes. Now you mentioned lockdown. That must have had a big impact on your ministry. So how has it been for the last 6 months?
Horrible.
Oh dear.
Not to be able to visit people and see them face to face, people who you know are on their own or are grieving, has been, well, truly awful. But we are doing everything that we can to keep in touch with people. We have a system whereby people keep in touch by phone. We've written cards, we've sent resources into care homes and retirement facilities. Wow. Little craft activities around a verse, yes. And or colouring. Some lovely, you can buy lovely postcards to colour Bible verses, mm-hmm. which we hope will keep people connected
Yeah.
to us and connected in worship. And we're trying very hard to make sure people know that we still love and care for them, even though we can't actually get to see them.
And I believe that you've made some resources for people who are working in care homes while you can't visit in person.
I have. It came clear to us right after lockdown that the people who were with the residents were the carers. And so I have been involved in a project with the Bible Reading Fellowship and the Anna Chaplaincy Network, and we've written 5 booklets for carers, and they're booklets on how to worship, either with individuals or with groups. There's a booklet on how to sit with somebody who is dying. There's a booklet on how to have a memorial service if you can't get to the funeral, because a lot of people have not been able to attend funerals. And the last one is about looking after yourself. So it's one just for carers about how to look after themselves in stressful times. And each of the booklets has got little bits of material that you can pick up and use, mix and match. Hopefully will give people the confidence to be able to provide some spiritual care while we're not able to get into the care homes, etc.
Yes, excellent. Now you mentioned Anna Chaplaincy. I think you need to explain a bit more about that, and I think that is connected with your being priested next week. After having been a deacon for some years, you decided to take this extra step of being priested. Perhaps you can expand on that.
Yes. Well, in some ways, no one is more surprised to be going forward with priesthood as I am. Having a role in the community that was service, really. When you're a deacon, you are called to be a servant, and I saw very much, particularly to those who are marginalised, I saw very much that older people's ministry was serving people. And that's where my heart has always been, and it always will be. And so I had thought there would be no need to go forward for priesting. However, in the last year, I have become more involved with something called the Anna Chaplaincy Network. I've been involved with it for a long time. But Anna Chaplaincy is a model of older people's ministry, which has really taken off in England. It's part of the Bible Reading Fellowship. And it's a model of ministry very much like the ministry that we've developed here. And last year, the Anna Chaplaincy Network asked me if I would like to be an Anna Chaplain lead for a region, and our region is Wales.
Right.
And in the Anglican Church, when you become a deacon, you serve. You are not able to be a priest until you've served first. But the priest is called to be servants and shepherd among the people to whom they are sent.
Yes.
That's the first part of the ordinal. And it's clear to me that I am actually leading something, even though I had never imagined that I would lead. And so I have my own specific flock, if you like. My flock are the older people, and I am developing and leading that. It also allows me to do other things as well, but that doesn't matter.
Yes. So the future for you, you're already very busy and very involved, and the future looks even busier.
Well, there will be ministry at 3 levels. It's ministry area, diocesan and Wales-wide. However, the teams that we have here are grown and can take on responsibility. I will always be part of it on the ground, as well as in terms of training and that kind of thing. But I know even in lockdown that the teams have carried on amazingly, and that I can trust them once I step a little bit further to try and develop this ministry further.
Good. Well, Sally is entering the week before her priesting, and part of that will be spent in retreat, and we can't support you in the cathedral on this occasion because of the constraints. But Sally, our prayers go with you. You're very much supported by our church and people who know and value your ministry. So our prayers are with you for this week as you prepare for this next step. And thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your prayers.
How sweet the name of Jesus sounds in a believer's ear. It soothes his sorrows, heals his wounds, and drives away his fear. It makes the wounded spirit whole and calms the troubled breast. 'Tis manna to the hungry soul and to the weary rest. And to the weary rest.
Hello, my name's Kerry Andrews and I lead the younger youth group at St Edmund's Church in Krakow. Group's called Totes Amaze Bells. You probably have heard of them before. Now, Alison normally does the interviews for the Telusk programmes that we've been producing, but she and Julian are having a well-earned break this week. So she's asked me if I'd like to interview the mother of one of the girls who comes to club. So I'm delighted to say that Jan has very kindly offered to have a chat with us about how lockdown has been for them as a family. So hello Jan, it's very good of you to come and join us.
Hi Kerry.
So a lot of things been happening or not happening over the last few months, haven't they? So what did you think when we first learned that we would have to go into lockdown and that you would have to teach Daisy at home?
Well, to start with, I was quite relieved that we were going into lockdown because I thought it was high time that we did. The idea of homeschooling Daisy was it was quite exciting to start with, but I think you never realise how much is involved and how much time it actually takes. I mean, I do a bit of teaching myself, so I'm familiar with the process of teaching, but to do it continuously over such a long period of time is actually very, very difficult. And I think you suddenly realise, oh my goodness, thank goodness for teachers at schools, because you just don't realise how involved it is.
So it's quite a challenging time for you. Were you able to juggle that with your own work at all?
It's been very, very difficult. I mean, I teach from home anyway, I'm self-employed, and I lost a lot of work during the lockdown. So I suppose having lost that work gave me the time then to work with Daisy, which was a good thing and a bad thing all at the same time.
So what do you teach normally?
I teach violin and singing from home, and I also teach on Skype as well. So that side of my work still continues, which is good. But I have far fewer pupils on Skype than I would teach live, so it's been a bit of a knock.
Oh dear. Okay. So now, after 6 months of being out of school, how do you feel about the children going back to school?
Very relieved and also a bit frightened, I guess. And Daisy's so in need of other children around her. she's been looking forward to seeing her friends again. She's a very sociable girl, so I think she's really missed the day-to-day being with other people, and she's missed Tab as well, so all sorts of things. We've been able to Skype with family, but it's never the same as actually being with someone. So now she's gone back to school. I think it's really good for her. She's had two days at her new secondary school, Brecon, and she absolutely loves it. She's quite worn out, mind you, but she loves it. The scary thing is you just don't know, if COVID comes into the school and it starts doing the rounds like the normal flus and colds that go round. It's kind of a bit scary. So fingers crossed, the school's got it all under control.
Yes. Do you feel that they've put enough measures in place to protect the children and the staff?
I think they've done as much as they can, but this COVID business is very infectious, and you just don't know. Even if you take all those precautions, it just takes one person to come in and not know that they're infected, and maybe those measures won't be enough. You just don't know.
Yeah. And the nature of young people is that they like to congregate together, don't they? And social distancing isn't always that easy or on the top of their mind. So, it's quite a challenge for them to do that. And that's why we haven't been able to start club yet, because of concerns of social distancing and the people involved as well who helped me. Yeah. So, so we're still having to go on Zoom with our youth club. So it's been really good seeing Daisy during all this time, occasionally on Zoom. So we've kept up with them in that way. So so it's a big thing for Daisy to start in the high school now, isn't it? So
it certainly is.
Okay. So well, thank you very much for having a chat now, and I wish you and Daisy all the very best this coming term. And hope your work picks up again, and hope Daisy gets on well in her new school.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, thank you, Kerry. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hi, Carl. Good to see you again.
Hi, Julian. Good to be here.
Good. And I think you've got another topic for us for our mental health during this time. I'm afraid times are not getting any better at the moment.
No, I think we're heading for difficult months. So October, November are definitely likely to be, they're darker months, aren't they? And so we've already looked at a number of different things. We looked at the importance of maintaining our relationships and the benefits of exercise. And then we also looked at the joy of giving and sharing and learning new skills. And if we practice these things, then they give us the power to bounce back when we've taken a bit of a knock, or the strength to stop ourselves from slipping into depression or anxiety when bad things happen. So it may be that over the coming months, we'll need these sort of strategies for resilience even more. But today we're going to talk about thankfulness, creating space in the day for gratitude and remembering, counting our blessings, as it were.
So Carly, is thankfulness just having an optimistic attitude towards everything in life?
No, I think it's a lot more than that. I mean, having an optimistic attitude can be very helpful. If our natural default position is to grumble and complain and so on, then that tends to create the mood music for our whole life. And if we can reframe our approach to our circumstances so that we're not so we look for opportunities and challenges and good angles to things, then that does help us. But thankfulness is much more than that. It's pausing, stopping in the busyness of a day and actually reflecting on the good things that we do have rather than the bad things that are going on around us. And we have to be honest that we have so many things to be grateful for. When I lived in India, I met so many people who had absolutely nothing, but they were coping with terrible situations because they'd learned how to have the habit of practicing thankfulness, and they were grateful for things which we really take for granted. We have the NHS, we've got clean water, we've got toilets and sanitation, we've got beautiful countryside around us. And they had none of those things, but they were grateful to God for their health and their strength and their families and other things. So it's more to do with pausing and giving thanks.
So Carl, would you say that some people are born with a more optimistic and thankful heart than others?
I think it's not just your nature, and I don't think it's even your nurture, how you were brought up as a small child. Those things help, but it's like exercise. We can all get better if we practice it. And I think it's one of those, that's why it's a skill that we can put into practice, and then we can all become much more grateful, thankful individuals.
So have you got any practical tips for us how we can become more thankful in our daily living?
Yeah, well, obviously we can practice courtesy and thankfulness to others, noticing the acts of kindness which happen around us. I've been really struck during the pandemic by the number of people who have been really kind to me as a doctor. They've asked after me, they've shown concern for me. And I've been grateful for that, being able to say, oh, thanks for asking, or whatever. So we can practice that. For myself, how I practice this grace is that before our meals, we always pray for our food, giving thanks. But I try to use that time as a moment to thank God for lots of other things as well. So that it's just stopping in the day and pausing and taking an opportunity to thank God for things, not just my food, but other blessings. And I expect that all of us around our home will have objects, pictures, photographs around, which remind us of things that we could be grateful for, our family and our friends, happy holidays, good memories, those type of things. And if we choose to, then even in our daily life, we can pause and we can give thanks for those people and the things that are reminded of us during the day. And Sally's very good at this. She'll often say, oh, this was given to us by so-and-so. And we'll have some thankful time for that person. And that's an easy way of building thankfulness into our day, injecting a little bit of gratitude into what could be an otherwise selfish, self-motivated, self-centered sort of day. I just wanted to say one other thing, that as Christians, we have an added thing because we've got someone to give thanks to. I know a number of non-Christians, people who don't share faith, they say that they have the feeling that they want to give thanks for a beautiful view or a lovely day or something that's happened in their lives, but they feel this emptiness because there's no one that they can actually give thanks to. But as Christians, that an added dimension for us is it's an opportunity to give thanks to God, and that draws us closer into our relationship with him. So when we're giving thanks, it's really helpful that we give thanks to God, and that's like building our relationship with him as well as this injection of gratitude.
Okay, well, thank you, Carl. That's very helpful. Certainly, I think we're going to need that encouragement over the next few months. And most of us, I think, will find that we've got a lot of things to give thanks for. And
We kiss the effort of my heart and cold my warmest thought. But when I see you as you are, I'll praise you as I ought. I want your boundless love proclaim with every fleeting breath. So shall the music of your name refresh my soul in death. Refresh my soul in death.
Hi, I'm Ed Walker, and I've been asked to talk to you about what's happening with Harvest this year in this ministry area. For a number of years, St Edmunds and other folks in the ministry area have been supporting the Brecon Foodbank at harvest time. Now, Brecon Foodbank started up in 2014, and for the last number of years it's been supported in St Edmunds by Mel and Ranny Gold. They can no longer carry on this work, so I have stepped up along with Sarah Powell, and we are arranging collections at Crickhow News, who have very kindly volunteered to take in food donations. But for this year, for Harvest, with our situation with COVID, we've decided that if you want to collect food, that's fantastic, and if you could kindly take that to the Crickhow News. But on the 4th of October, we're having the Harvest Festival at church, and if you could kindly bring a monetary donation, put in an envelope marked Brecon Foodbank, either cheque or cash or whatever, actually along to the morning service at Crickhow, that would be absolutely fantastic. For those outside Crickhow, if you would like to make a contribution yourselves to the food bank, I would recommend that you go online, brecon.foodbank.org.uk, and you'll be there. On there you'll find a current list, at the moment it's dated 18th of September, of what they actually need. Because what you have to appreciate at the food bank, they're very limited in terms of storage. What they have in, they then move out pretty quickly. Another thing to really understand is they do not have any cold facilities. They cannot store fresh food at all, and so it's all tinned or long life. Now, as to the use of the food bank, do you actually know anybody who has needed to use the food bank? What sort of people do need it? Well, I actually do know people who've used it, both from Crickhow and where I lived before in the very well-to-do Solihull. It is a situation where a lot of us these days are living just only 2 paychecks away from the breadline. And with the devastation that COVID-19 has caused, that is affecting an awful lot of people. Think of folk who are on 0 hours contracts. They've actually penniless. Think also of those where they relied on overtime and regular overtime just to make ends meet. That's gone as well. There are those who are waiting for a government top-up, but sometimes that involves a 5-week wait. You can see that there are a lot of folk who would fall into this category, and I personally know the folk who went use the food bank where I used to live. They were really hard-working people, and it's the same situation here. Last year, and the food bank supplied 857 emergency food parcels. The idea of the food bank is to give food for at least 3 days where they can give you a sustained, balanced diet, but it is emergency food only. And the people going there don't just turn up because they fancy coming to get some food. They have been referred by agencies and assessed as being really in deep need. And from a Christian point of view, we are asked to look out for those who are in deep need and poor. And we have this opportunity, especially at harvest, to say thank you, and especially thank you to God for the provision of what we actually have. And it's a great opportunity to be able to be really generous to people. And this year in particular, I'd ask you to consider, if you gave £10 last year, do your very best to up it to 20 this year. And if you're thinking of a family and you're thinking of their needs for 3 days, you can work out how much that would require. And I would be really pleased if you could increase what we've given from last year. Right, just to clarify, there are 3 ways to donate to the food bank if you live in Crickhow. The first one is to come to the service on October the 4th and pass your donations labelled food bank to the church. The other way is to go to the rectory and hand in your envelope there, or you could pass Glanidur, pop in there and pass your envelope over there.